Hey, what is up? Welcome in to the Spalding Brothers show. We've been gone for quite a while, but now we're back, or at least I am. You only get one Spalding brother today, and that is me, Wyatt Spalding. Wes is busy and just couldn't make it, so it's just gonna be me for right now. So the reason why we were gone for about 2 months is life just gets busy. I was moving out and, I was busy with work and trying to figure all that stuff. I had to work like some weekends for some events. Wes had whatever Wes has going on with his job. He's always super busy. And so, yeah, we just kind of stopped for a while. Not that we wanted to stop. It's just like one thing led to another, like I was saying, and you look up and it's been like 2 months. Our last episode was October 10th, and it's December, what day is it even? 17th. So just a little over 2 months, but we're back. At least one of us right now, but Weston and I will be back on Friday doing an episode, and we'll try to pop some more episodes out there and uh let you guys know what we're up to and what we've been working on. Lately, for me, like I was saying, like busy and everything, like for me it was hard because I was working a bunch, still hadn't really gotten used to, living on my own and balancing just work life and then personal life. And I feel like we all just go through that crap all the time. And what helped me like get through like a lot of that was just kind of thinking like, all right, what's really important here? All the stuff I need to get done, what can wait? Sometimes when you're really busy, you're gonna let some people down, but not everyone. When you decide what's really important, you don't let those people down because you show up for certain people when they really need you. And then sometimes there's another group that wants you to do stuff and they don't really, you know, like that you didn't show up, but you can't be there for everyone. And you got to do what's best for you sometimes. Like for me, it was always like work. We had all these events and my job was counting on me to be there. And I was just like, well, I got to focus on that right now and do that. And I had my football season going too. So that was kind of like my one thing I did a week that was for me was to play in my football league. And then just other stuff like, not gonna lie, like working out. Didn't do that for a while as much as I wanted to for a while. Of course, when I did work out and was kind of getting back into it, I would get sick, which always sucks. But that's just kind of the way life is. You got to learn what you can balance, what you can't balance. I wanted to do some things like sign up for stuff, maybe to meet other people or try to go out and be more social. But honestly, some days I was just super tired and wanted to stay home, like a lot of us do. And now I'm getting better, like kind of pushing myself to go outside my comfort zone or try to join some sports leagues or some tennis classes or whatever to try to meet people, which is hard. It's hard to meet people out there. The scary world out there. No, not really. But it's just hard to like, want to like come home from work and you're tired, but then you want to go do something, but it's like, oh, it feels so nice just to stay home. But sometimes you just gotta wake up, be like, we gotta do this. You gotta go be social and meet people. And some people are really good at that, at like meeting people and trying to get outside their comfort zone. And if you're like me, you're like, okay, depends what it is, really. And yeah, just like you just kind of try and balance your work life and your social life. And some people it's really easy, and for others maybe it's hard at times. And maybe there's like a month you're just really busy with work and you just can't hang out with your friends. But eventually the ones that really are close to you and that are truly your friends, like they understand like you're busy, like you got shit to do. So for me, it was just kind of like the stressfulness of trying to figure out how to live my own, and I had to make all this special food for myself because I can't chew really, and trying to figure out all my medical stuff. I would get sick, and then miss work or I wouldn't do anything in during the week because I'm trying to stay healthy for a work event that I have. And we put on a lot of sporting events, and so like I can't just let my job down. I got to show up, when they need me, and uh, sometimes I can't show up for my job because I do get sick, and I work for Special Olympics Nebraska, and they're really good about like if I would get sick, they understand my situation and everything, and that's always kind of been a big thing for me is like having a job. I always wondered like if I would get fired because like I'm sick and I just can't show up to work and I just am not able to be there at the moment because I'm sick for like 2 weeks. Luckily this December, knock on wood, I've been pretty healthy. Last December I was not healthy. I had pneumonia all last December. So that was tough and it just was hard. Luckily I've never had a job where I got fired because of my medical conditions or because I just couldn't show up to work anymore. A lot of them that I've had that worked really well with me was like Hy-Vee when I was in high school, and worked at a sporting goods store in Fremont, Nebraska called Nebraska Sports, and they were really cool with me missing time because I was sick, but it was still hard. Like, you worry about, am I gonna be able to, pay the bills or like, show up on time for work, or should I go to work and should I power through it? And all that. And I mean, it wasn't like I was in financial trouble at any time. Like, I would move out if I thought that because I know for a fact that I probably will get sick and it's going to happen. Luckily, now I have a job, the first job I've had that I can also work from home. So I can work from home when I don't feel the greatest, and I don't always have to be in the office. So I think that's really good for like not just me, but everybody now. Like, you can maybe stay even more healthy by just working from home and not being around so many people when you don't feel the best and just have a cold, or maybe you're getting a cold and coming down with something worse or whatever. But the point is like you got to learn how to balance everything. And your health is like one of them. Because if you don't have your health, you can't really do anything, people. I took like a financial class in college once, the easiest class ever. He said he's going to give us all A's, and all we had to do is write like a 1 page paper or 1.5 page paper or whatever, or a page and a half. And then like I just remember the one thing he told me, like the class on the last day, he had a list of like all this stuff that we should know about life. And the first thing he had up on the board was to um, take care of your health. He said, if you don't have your health, you can't do anything. And that's so true. If you don't have your health and you're sick all the time, you're going to work, you're trying to hang out with friends and be social and all that stuff, eventually you're going to crash and maybe something worse is going to happen than what you had in the first place. Or some people just get unlucky with health and all that stuff. But you gotta learn to take care of yourself first and learn like what's important and who you're gonna show up for and who you're probably not gonna show up for. And it's not that you don't care about people or anything. And you just that some people, are gonna be there for you more than others. And I realized that at a younger age than most sometimes, just growing up and missing a lot of stuff in school, sports, my job. I think that really woke me up of like, oh wow, I'm just like not being able to go to work and they kind of need me, but I feel like I'm letting them down. And I still feel bad like when I get sick and stuff, but it's just like, look, I'm sick. There's nothing I can do about it now. Do you really want me to be there when I'm sick? Or do you want me to get better? So it's just like you got to know what your priorities are in life. And I realized, like, with like moving out, like that's a big accomplishment for me. Like I've said before on this podcast, and I, just know like, that's my number one goal is like try to live on my own. And but I've said this before too. A lot of people maybe that's not their number one goal in life because it just kind of goes with the territory of growing up. But for someone like me, who didn't get that opportunity right away to live on their own, it's a big, big deal. And I tried to figure out like, okay, how can I like stay healthy or how can I, just like not put so much stress on myself. And that was sometimes to not do anything after work. And sometimes I did work out because it did make me feel better. Even if I didn't want to, I'd do like a little workout in the basement or something. Or sometimes just watching sports helped me. But yeah, it wasn't really the reason why I didn't do this uh podcast with Wes for 2 months. It was more of it was in the back of our minds, but we were just so busy and we are trying to figure stuff out on what we wanted to do. And I think looking back on it now, maybe it's a good thing. Like we took a little break because I was going through all that. And when Wes gets on the next episode, he'll probably talk about what he was doing too, because he was gone doing some fun personal stuff, which he'll get into the next episode. But I, at that time, was just trying to figure out like how to balance work life and then life outside of uh my job as well, and doing the things I love the most, and which is working out, which always, like I said, it's hard to do when you don't always feel the best. But sometimes, like kind of back to the health thing, you gotta take care of yourself, and sometimes like we cause it. Like I'm pretty sure I caused a lot of my sicknesses growing up by just overdoing it and working out too much when I came back from an illness or something. And sometimes it's out of our control. Like I get a lot of sinus infections, and now I keep getting the same amount of sinus infections I had before my sinus surgery I had like months ago. And now I have to figure out that again and go see a specialist. And it sucks, but it's just the way it is. And I just have to learn to deal with it, honestly. Just like you just learn to deal with stuff in life. Like it's not, you know, it's out of your control if you're doing the best you can to try to stay healthy or try to make it work at your job or try to, I don't know, like do good in sports or school or whatever you're doing. There are some days like things aren't gonna go right and it's really out of your control. So you just gotta think like, okay, this is out of my control. What is something that is in my control that I, can do to help this situation and not be so stressed out? Or if you are stressed out and because things aren't going well, you gotta think about what's the most important thing right now. That's what I would do a lot in the fall during September and October, really when I was super busy with, like I said, work and just personal life and like, all right, what do I need to get done? It needs to get done now, like today or in the next couple of days, and what can wait? And you just have to make that decision on what's the most important thing to you right now and then kind of just go from there. And maybe you'll let some people down in the process, but you won't let everybody down. You'll be there for the people you want to be there when they really need you. And then there'll be some groups of people that you're not going to be there for because you were showing up for another group that really needed you or a friend or a family member or whatever. So it's just you got to make that decision of what you want in life, and you kind of just got to go with it, no matter what other people say. So it's kind of like a little rant on why we didn't have the podcast and stuff. So basically, I guess the point is like life just got in the way, and it was there, and not that it was I didn't want to keep doing the podcast. It was just like we were busy and we had to uh, do some other stuff with our jobs and just personal life. But now we're back and we're going to try to get out as many episodes as we can and hope that our listeners still listen to us and we get more listeners and grow this podcast. So it's all just a part of the process, which is like, you know, which is like kind of my next point is you got to learn to like kind of learn to stop something, but then it's okay to come back. I guess what I'm trying to say. So like you can come back to something even if you stopped it for a while. Like I came back through just podcast. Like we stopped for 2 months, but now we're back. And so it's okay to like if you're like, oh, I was doing this and it just didn't happen. And now I don't know if I should go back or keep doing it or whatever. And if you really want to do it, then just start it up again. Let's say you started a goal and then you were doing it for several months and then you stopped. And then a couple months later, you wanted to start up again. It's like, oh, I tried that, but I failed and it didn't work out. Well, your life is not over. Last time I checked, you could still go back to it. You can still try it. You can still keep your podcast going. You can still, if you want to learn a new sport and you weren't good at it before and you stopped, but want to get back into it, you can do that too. If you want to do a career that you were into before and then got out of it and but want to get back into it, you can do that too. I mean, you can always go back to anything, really. You can always quit something too, but it's always like the people you like I said, like you're gonna let down some people, you're gonna make some people happy and be there for some people, but it's kind of like I said, it's up to you. Like, are you willing to uh, do that and go back to what you were doing before, even though you stopped for a while? Because last time I checked, as long as you have a pulse, you're not dead yet, so you can do whatever you want to do, whether it's a new career. You go out for your high school sports team that you went out for 1 year in high school, didn't go out the next, but you still have another year or two of high school and go out. So you can still go out for that team if you want. You can, stop a podcast for 2 months, but then start it up again. Like it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. And yeah, people are gonna say like probably like, well, you stopped it, so I thought you weren't into it, or why did you stop it? Maybe, you couldn't do it. I knew you couldn't do it. It's like, who gives a shit what people say? Like, it's your life. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. And you can stop things for a while. You can stop goals for a while. I stopped dreaming that I was gonna live out on my own because I just had some medical stuff come up, personal stuff, financial stuff. Freaking pandemic stopped like everybody from doing everything. But you can always pick it up and where you left off and then keep on going, even if it's a couple months, heck, maybe even years. And you can pick it up from where you left off when you stopped. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's tough. But if you really want to do it, then just do it. One thing I thought was like the pandemic when it happened, when it was over, it's like, wow, we all pretty much get a second chance in life. If you really think about it, everything stopped for a while. You couldn't do anything. And then everything started up. It was kind of like, like, wow, like everything's different, but feels like a new world now. We went through the pandemic, people are from home now more, all this stuff. So like, I mean, my thinking was because I was stuck at home for like a year. And so my thinking was like, well, I guess like it's kind of a new beginning for everybody. If you really think about it, the new beginning for everyone. And you can do whatever you want with your life. Yes, there are people, everyone honestly goes through obstacles and adversities. So I don't know what everybody goes through or what adversity is standing in their way. And maybe it's harder than what I think because I don't live your life, but that doesn't mean that you can't start over, get a second chance, third, fourth chance. I probably have had over 100 of chances. I probably have more chance. I've had more chances than a cat with 9 lives, pretty much, pretty much. Just being sick and everything. Like I always had to pick stuff up where I left off because I was sick or, medical reasons and out for a month or two. I was out for over 6 months with my back surgery when I was in high school, and I really had to pick everything up where I left off with sports. And then all of a sudden, when I got better, I had to start college, and that was really, really tough. So, don't be afraid to, start over if you need to, or, go back to something that you stopped a long time ago, but now you feel the nerve, the itch, or whatever to pick it up again. Like, and people will probably criticize you or think you can't do it because you couldn't do it the first time, but that doesn't matter. 'Cause if you think you can do it, then just do it. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with picking stuff up, basically. And like I said, it's your life, so you just do what you want to do and what makes you happy, whether despite what people say. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I've been doing is I want to get back into giving more speeches, and I give health speeches to some colleges. I spoke at like a couple like colleges in Omaha, like UNMC in Omaha, Nebraska, and then I spoke to I went to like Kearney, Nebraska, and spoke to their college, and about health. But what I really got into when I first started speaking was motivational speeches, just about my life and people with goals and facing adversity and how I dealt with it, and just kind of like how I can help other people accomplish their goals. So I'm getting back into like speaking of sports teams. I spoke to some the basketball football team at my local high school, Fremont High, like several years ago. And then I've gone to like a couple high schools in Nebraska where I've spoken to their basketball team, and spoke to like my college when I was out of college at Midland University, and spoke to my brother's college, Hastings College. That was like kind of my first big speech I gave. That was back in 2018. So yeah, it's just something I am pursuing again. I always kind of pursued it, but it's hard. Like when you don't have like an agency or yeah, basically that's it. An agency. Yeah, an agency that books all your speeches for you and helps you find speeches. And a lot of these people that do it are like famous people or maybe people that have gone through way more adversity than I have. I don't know. But I know I got Special Olympics behind me, so that's kind of part of my speech is I'm trying to promote Special Olympics and also just like through that sharing my story of adversity and overcoming adversity and people uh going for their goals in life and dreams and not giving up on that. And Special Olympics is a big part of my life on how I did that. So that's just kind of like a spiel of my speech. But so yeah, like speak to basketball teams this winter, schools, you know, just kind of that. And like it's kind of like what I just said, picking up where you left off. Like I was doing it for a while more consistently, then I stopped, just life stuff like anyone. And now with my great job that I have with Special Olympics, I have this I have this nice big company behind me that I can try to find speeches. And the big thing I've learned about speeches is that I was listening to this podcast like years and years ago. It might have been during COVID. I don't know. But I was listening to this podcast about speaking, and they're like, you don't have to give 100 speeches a year. You can give like 10, maybe even less. And that like really hit home with me because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need to give like 1,000 speeches a year. Like 1,000 would be a lot, but you know what I mean? Like 20 or 30, probably more realistic. But I don't need to give like a bunch of speeches a year. Like even if I give like five, 10, whatever, you're still impacting people. You're still trying to make a difference in people's lives. And I don't know, like I guess like I knew I was kind of just good at speaking because like I just remember like speaking at Hastings College at my brother's school, and there's this guy up in the balcony, and I just kind of saw him, like glanced at him during my speech, like I would anyone else. And after the speech, he came up to me after I was, all my brother's friends that I knew were telling me I did a good job and all that. And this guy comes up to me, and I shake his hand, and I'm like, looked into his eyes, and he told me like I really helped him, and thanks for coming, giving your story and all that. And to me, it was just like I'm just here to give my story. It's no big deal. And I still kind of think like that too. Like, it's just my story. It's not that big a deal, but you know, it is a big deal because I feel like if you can help like one person, it's worth it, or one team, one business, whatever, it's still worth it. You don't need to like give 100 speeches a year, like the guy on the podcast said. You can give like 10 or five or whatever, even whether you work for a, an agency that helps you find speeches, you're just like someone like me, like just starting off and trying to share your story to help people. And so when I looked in this guy's eyes, I was kind of like taken back, like, whoa, like I really help this dude. Like that's crazy. Like just kind of like hit me like I gotta do this. I have to like figure out how I can give speeches and help people the rest of my life. So uh, yeah, it's kind of like my kind of main goal, or one of my main goals I'm working on right now is trying to just like get more speeches and share my story, the story of Special Olympics as well. So, uh, yeah, and if anyone that would like to hear my story, then you can DM me on Instagram. I'll put this clip on Instagram and have a little spiel, and you can DM me. And then also, like, my YouTube channel, Life with Wyatt Spalding, you reach out to me there, and I'll come out with something that um, maybe people can contact me. But yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that I can keep giving speeches for a real long time, and my story helps people because, like, I don't try to, you know, you don't want to assume anything in life. You got to go in there confident, obviously, but also like keep working at it because you don't want to like work at something and be like, oh, I'll get speeches or oh, I'll get this promotion or I'll, make the team or whatever. Don't ever just assume anything because life, like my parents taught me this a long time ago, like life doesn't owe you anything. Life doesn't owe you shit. And so you just can't assume that uh, just great stuff will happen. You have to work at it. And sometimes working at it means you succeeded for 2 days and you failed for three or whatever it is. And you just gotta, like I kind of been saying, you gotta pick up where you left off. And I picked up where I left off with the speaking. And I'm trying to go more into it now. And hopefully this time I'm, you know, successful with it. I'm successful every time with it, I feel like, but each time I go more and more by not like the money I make or anything. It's just like the people I help and impact. Not gonna lie, I would like to make some like to always make some money with it as I get older because I'd love to speak and speaking is like part of my job at Special Olympics, but it's like also something I want to do personally and just be able to get signed by an agency someday and have it be like my main job someday, just to travel the country and give speeches, maybe the world. I don't know. I've been doing this sergeant driver thing for Special Olympics, so I've gotten to do some pretty cool things, and hopefully I can continue that with helping Special Olympics, just helping people in general, sports teams, schools, businesses, whoever. And hopefully my story keeps on making an impact on people. So kind of into now, like I said, like traveling the world with Special Olympics and doing cool things. We're gonna get into it the next episode, but Weston and I got to do something pretty cool with my Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger thing. We did a little trip to DC and went to a pretty historic, cool, I don't know. I don't know how to like describe it without giving it away, but pretty cool place in DC for a special Olympic event, which I won't really get into on this episode because Wes isn't here. I didn't experience this cool event as a global messenger by myself. I got to share it with Wes. So we'll get into that next episode um, and talk more about that. I would also like to point out, because this is called the Spalding Brothers Show, if any of you have a twin out there, have siblings, or brothers, sisters, whatever, you like to brag a little bit if you're right. And I would just like to point out that I was right when I told Wes that the Rockets, the Houston Rockets in the NBA, were going to be good eventually. And they did not make the Cup final, in-season tournament final for the NBA, but they made the semis, and I just wanted to point out that I was right. And I'll get him in more to that with Wes on the next episode, and we'll talk some college football playoffs, which is going to be awesome. First games on Friday. It's like Notre Dame and Indiana. And so, yeah, we'll get into that as well. So, thanks for those of you who are tuning in to our Spalding Brothers show, and we can't wait to continue where we left off and get more episodes out and have our fans hear more about what we're up to and share some insights on what we are learning throughout our lives. So, thanks for listening to the Spalding Brothers show. You can find us on my YouTube channel, Life with Wyatt Spalding. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. See ya.